The city of New York never sleeps, and yet on that particular evening, Emily felt as though time itself had stopped for her. The sky had opened up without warning, heavy drops of rain spilling down on the streets, washing over the restless city. Emily, 25 years old, ambitious yet tired, rushed out of her office building in Manhattan, clutching her sketchbook and laptop bag close to her chest. She hated rain, not because of the wet clothes or ruined hair, but because rain slowed her down, and she had no time to slow down. Her life was a series of deadlines, meetings, and sleepless nights in her small Brooklyn apartment. She dreamed of making it big in the fashion world. But tonight all she could think about was catching the next train and getting home. The subway station was crowded with people hiding under umbrellas, coats pulled tight, all of them impatient, all of them in a hurry just like her. Emily's heels clicked against the wet floor as she ran down the stairs, only to watch the train doors close in her face. The last glimpse she had was of tired commuters staring blankly at their phones as the train disappeared into the tunnel. She sighed, frustrated, brushing back strands of wet hair sticking to her cheek. She hated missing trains. Missing a train felt like missing control, and control was the only thing that kept her life together. And then she heard it, a guitar, soft at first, almost drowned by the chatter and footsteps around her. But slowly it grew, a melody warm enough to cut through the cold air of the underground. Emily turned her head and saw him, a young man sitting at the corner of the platform, a worn-out guitar in his lap, playing as if the rain didn't exist, as if time didn't matter. His clothes were casual, his smile unbothered, his eyes closed as he strummed notes that carried a strange sense of freedom. People passed by him without stopping. Just another street musician in the endless heartbeat of New York. But for Emily, he was impossible to ignore. Something about the sound pulled her closer. She found herself standing just a few feet away, watching. He opened his eyes and caught her staring. Instead of looking away, he smiled, a smile so effortless it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Emily didn't know why, but she smiled back. It was only a second, but in that second, the rain outside didn't feel heavy anymore. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, Emily wasn't thinking about work, about deadlines, about how late she was. She was just there, in that subway station, listening to a stranger's song. When the next wave of rain echoed down the stairs, she realized she didn't care that she had missed her train, because maybe, just maybe, missing that train meant she was exactly where she needed to be. Emily never planned to see him again. Yet somehow the city had its own way of weaving lives together. A week after that rainy evening, she was back at the subway, her usual routine of running late and clutching her sketchbook close, when she heard the guitar again. This time, she didn't hesitate. She walked toward him, not just as a passerby, but as if something was pulling her there. His name, she would soon learn, was Daniel. He wasn't the kind of man Emily had ever pictured herself talking to. He was laid back, his hair a little messy, his shirt not ironed, his entire presence giving off a kind of freedom Emily couldn't understand. And yet, when he looked at her, it felt as though he saw past the polished clothes and tired eyes, right into the part of her that she kept hidden from the world. Their conversations began small, a few words here and there after his songs, a comment about the weather, a laugh about the late trains, and soon enough, coffee at a tiny cafe just down the street. Emily was surprised at how easy it was to talk to him. With her coworkers, everything was about fashion shows, designs, money, and stress. But with Daniel, it was about sunsets, favorite songs, childhood memories, dreams that had nothing to do with climbing ladders. He talked about the open road, about traveling from city to city, about music not as a career but as a way of breathing. And she listened, fascinated, because she had forgotten that life could be lived like that, without fear of falling behind. Slowly, she found herself looking forward to those moments. Her world of endless deadlines began to feel less important compared to an evening walk with Daniel, listening to him hum songs under the city lights. He noticed things no one else did. The way rain sounded different against the glass of a cafe window, the way pigeons scattered in perfect harmony, the way people softened when they laughed. He reminded her that beauty wasn't only on magazine covers or fashion runways, but in the smallest, quietest details of life. And somewhere between the laughter and late-night conversations, between the spilled coffees and missed trains, Emily felt her heart shifting. She wasn't just listening anymore. She was living. Her sketches started to change, too. No longer sharp and rushed, but filled with colors she hadn't used in years. She realized that Daniel wasn't just someone she met by chance. He was changing her, showing her that love could exist outside of control, outside of plans, outside of everything she thought she needed to be happy. It terrified her, and yet it thrilled her even more. Because Emily, who had always been in love with perfection, was slowly falling for someone who lived beautifully imperfect. The days with Daniel turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and Emily found herself living a version of life she had never imagined. She laughed more, she worried less, and for the first time in years, she felt as though she was breathing freely. But happiness has a way of testing hearts, and for Emily, that test came one late afternoon when Daniel told her about the offer. A band he had once played with was going on tour. Across the country, city after city, a dream for any musician who lived for the stage. His voice carried excitement when he spoke about it. But Emily heard the unspoken weight behind his words. This opportunity meant leaving. It meant distance. It meant goodbye. She sat across from him in their favorite café, the steam from her untouched coffee rising between them. Her heart wanted to tell him to stay, to choose her over the road. But deep down, she knew Daniel was never meant to be caged. His soul was built for freedom, for chasing melodies beyond the horizon. And so she smiled, a fragile smile that barely held back the ache in her chest, and told him she was happy for him. He reached across the table, his hand finding hers, and for a moment, the silence between them spoke louder than any words. The night before his departure, they met at the subway station where it had all begun. Rain poured again, as if the sky itself remembered the first night they met. Emily stood by the platform, her coat damp, her heart heavier than it had ever been. Daniel arrived with his guitar slung over his shoulder, water dripping from his hair, that same smile on his lips. They didn't need long speeches. They didn't need promises. They just needed this moment, one final memory to hold on to. As the train approached, Daniel pulled her into his arms, and Emily buried her face against his chest, memorizing the sound of his heartbeat. The world around them blurred, the rushing footsteps, the echo of voices, the screech of wheels on the track. For her, there was only him. When he finally pulled away, his hand lingered on her cheek, his eyes filled with something that was both love and goodbye. The doors opened. He stepped inside. Emily stood still, her fingers trembling, her eyes stinging with tears she refused to let fall. The train pulled away, taking Daniel with it, leaving only the echo of his music in her heart. She walked up the stairs into the rain, but this time the rain didn't feel heavy. It felt like a promise that love once found never truly leaves. And though Emily was alone, she carried him with her. In every sketch she would draw, in every sunset she would chase. Because sometimes love isn't about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go and still believing that the world gave you something unforgettable. Please click subscribe to our channel. We have more stories coming soon. Miss any new stories? Thank you for listening.